Welcome in. Cheers.
Cheers.
Reset.
Full reset.
Morgan and I are going to reset. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to Do It For The Story.
Because right before we started, Stace was giving me a little bit of shit.
We were just getting on another tangent, which was fine. It was good, but I wanted us to get started because we get very excited.
And you can tell a lot of this one's for you when Stace, and actually Donahue, Stace smacks my hand and gets me back on task.
Or I just do a little,
gives me lip. And she's like, come on, let's get going. And so,
daiquiris.
And so I just stopped talking.
If you're not watching, I'm doing the over the head.
I just stopped talking, and she goes, and she's like, I'm explaining why she said doing what she said, and I go, no, I'm fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's
and
like,
go ahead, start it.
Said,
do the intro, sweetie.
Welcome in. So we're back.
So now we're at reset.
Do it again.
We love each other. Divas Dips. Okay, I just got a picture of myself with my Pride shirt.
We're doing our non-alc again today. And
Look at my Annapolis Pride shirt, though.
Yes.
Which is Stacey's, because she volunteered. And I was like, it looks so cute in the pic.
Well, also, I wanted to make sure we had
and
our
yours.
Pride
What are you wearing?
I'm going to push my mic away from my face.
I didn't even know. Were they selling these?
It's the 2023. So I volunteered.
But it was so crowded. I didn't even see everything.
Yeah, last weekend. I know. I tried to grab you guys' shirts because they were then throwing out in the parade. But
fun.
I helped to decorate the Annapolis
Did you do
Pride
the float? Is that what it was?
The float and parade check-in.
Something else. Check-in. Okay.
And they were giving out not just to volunteers, but actually in the parade, the 2023 design for the Annapolis Pride shirts, which was really cute. And then I loved the theme this year was the Annapolis. They did the anchor. It was like anchored in pride or something. And so it was a cute logo. So anyway, Morgan was saying that about the Pride shirt, because if you're watching, she's wearing the Pride, Annapolis Pride volunteer shirt. And I, Stacey, am wearing the Annapolis Pride from the 2023 celebration design. It says volunteer. Yeah.
Volunteer.
And so last weekend, one, happy Pride to
Happy Pride.
All of those who celebrate, and everyone, happy Pride. It's not even all those who celebrate. It's just you should be celebrating.
For a second there, I was like, why does it sound right? I forgot I had moved my...
I'm back on. Here. She's with us.
Here.
But so happy Pride. It is such a fun, great month, as we know, just like with Black History Month. It's 1 month of acknowledging the celebration, but it is all year, honey. So
absolutely.
We love that. And last weekend was Annapolis's Pride Festival. So, and I think they have events kind of going on all month, but definitely last week. So last Saturday was the Annapolis Pride Parade. It was the first time a standing governor walked in the Pride Parade. Annapolis Pride Parade has been happening since only 2019.
Really?
I'm pretty positive. Does it say on my shirt?
We need to look that. We'll fact check that, as they say on
fact check it.
I'll
fact check it right now just to make sure.
Wow.
But anyway, so I'll check the date of how long Pride has been happening in Annapolis in terms of a official celebration. But our current governor, Wes Moore,
Moore, we love you.
If you listen to the pod, we've talked about Governor Moore before. We love Wes Moore.
A beautiful man inside and out.
Yes. It's not to be inappropriate, but woo-wee.
We can say it.
That man is easy on the eyes.
Easy on the eyes. They say it about women, about all kinds of things. And I respect him so much mentally that I will say you're also easy on the eyes.
And Dawn...
They're stunning.
The first lady of Maryland. I say Dawn like I know them, just like I did with President Obama and First Lady Michelle.
Yes.
Shelly, Mish. Love you.
Love you guys.
Great family friends. Just kidding. But
see you at the house.
I'm obsessed. But just his skin, Wes Moore, governor, aside from the campaign, aside from your policy, we want to know what your skin routine is. We want to know your regimen. We want to know what products.
I also need to know
Dawn has you using.
Yes, the products, but also, okay, he's so physically fit, and I say this out of complete respect.
Oh my gosh.
The things that you're doing every day, and I follow him on Instagram, so he's all over the state of Maryland, all over, making things happen.
Yes.
I'm thinking to myself, I am trying to get in like just my basic day job and a small workout. How are you doing that? Is there a 10-minute routine that we should all be doing? Or are you out there getting up? Are you one of those people that gets up at 4?
I want to know the healthcare. I want to know. That is a healthcare policy I'm getting behind.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing,
that
Wes,
would bring in voters, because the ones that aren't paying attention to the politics, they will be like, wait, I can
it's
do
like,
a 20-minute workout and look like that.
It's like someone, speaking of pride, it's like if if a guy friend, your husband says to you, oh my gosh, so-and-so is so beautiful, or she's so hot. I'm not.
It's in a respectful manner.
Sexually attracted to women, like I acknowledge when a woman is beautiful.
Beyonce,
and I'm like,
stunning.
oh, she's hot. I would agree.
She's stunning. I'm saying the same about Wes Moore. I don't care
your beliefs. What if you don't think Wes Moore is hot? I mean, obviously, if you're racist,
if you're an extremely racist person,
you wouldn't think any black person's hot. I get that.
Fine, but we're not talking to you. We're talking to just like the masses.
But this man, I'm like, dude, your body, just like you're saying.
I don't understand.
Okay, so obviously you get it. We tangent it because I don't want to go too deep. Wes Moore, we deeply respect you. We are serious, but I'm sure you get that a lot. And Dawn, we respect your marriage, and we're happily married. We would love to have you over here in Eastport for dinner sometime.
Well, speaking of though, Warren, we have to get that clip. Can we do like a side by side?
Oh my gosh. And we will ask
if we'll let us do it. The picture of Warren hugging Wes Moore Pride. So Warren gets to walk in the parade with Wes. We're all freaking out. I'm like, this is the best thing that's ever happened.
They didn't have it confirmed that the governor was going to be walking until like that week. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it was a big deal. And so then Warren and his husband Ben are good friends of this person that works for
that has
the governor,
position that we don't know the title of,
that works for the governor, and said, hey, we're doing the parade. Would you like to walk with us? So Stacey, I was already on the volunteering to check in parade floats. And so I hear this, I'm like, perfect. I'm in full stage mom mode.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I'm down there at 7:45 a.m. We're checking in the floats. And then they needed more help after my shift. And they said, would you go over to help with the float? I'm like, how many homecomings was I on? Yes, I was prom queen. Yes, I was on homecoming.
You were probably having to hold yourself back from like taking over.
I was.
Yeah.
I was. And I was looking at people like, come on.
Where's the gossamer? Where's the
sparkles? We should have bubble floats.
It's not hard to make this. Yeah.
Everyone was fantastic. So we helped set up the float. And when I went over there, they were lining up everybody. So also we're talking about Wes Moore because we love our state of Maryland and we love our governor so much. But Christian Siriano, the designer, I mean, it's not even that Christian Siriano is originally from Annapolis. Which is awesome. It's not even that we were like, oh, cool, celebrities here. Christian Siriano is like, if I were a celebrity and I went to the Oscars and they were like,
if I went fucking
would you
jogging,
want to dress you?
If I had the opportunity to wear
seriously would be my number one. I just love
wear it anytime.
his
If he was like, you can wear it, but you have to sleep in a bed and you can't let anyone take a photo, I would still do it.
Yes.
He is my number one famous person to meet. My ultimate dream is
I love Christian, number one famous person to meet. I swear to Oprah, God, Obama, Shelley.
I'm sorry because I feel like
Oprah, you're my number one. I love you, girl.
Listen to this. Listen to why. Because Christian, I feel deeply that I have such a respect for him. His Annapolis connection. The arts. I feel like there is, and he dressed all of those people. You're talking about he dressed Michelle Obama. He's dressed. I mean, this man, everyone, and my ultimate dream is to be on the cover of a magazine wearing Christian Siriano. I would be like, this isn't real. I'm in a simulation.
Naptown girls.
Naptown girls together.
Christian, if you're back in town. I didn't think he has a
And
place
Alicia
here.
Silverstone, I'm sorry. Like, if I, get me and Cher and Christian.
Yeah, your 90s girl. Also, Christian. So if you don't know Christian Siriano, he won Project Runway years ago, was one of the,
that changed my life. That season
Christian
changed my life.
Siriano to Project Runway is Kelly Clarkson to American Idol.
Yes.
so, who else won American Idol? I don't know, but I know Kelly Clarkson won, and the breakout star and the fame and the beyond.
And the beyond, yeah.
Like really, really took it there.
Yeah.
Christian Siriano is also known for being very inclusive, dressing
all
trans
bodies.
women, dressing men, gay men, dressing women also of all sizes. So before it was even...
But also on that, when the original appearance of Christian Siriano on that season of Project Wonder, whatever season it was, he was dressing curvy women. This is not a thing where he was like, I'm going to be inclusive. This was a thing where he was like, I am going to know how to dress anyone, and I am inclusive. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, this Naptown fucking kid who worked at Bubbles, and like, this is literally, and this is now where I live, and I didn't come and move here because of Christian, but like, I ended up, actually I did. Like, I will say though, when I found out that he was from here and his mom lives in my friend's neighborhood, I was like, what's happening right now? Like,
I know.
And I'm like,
so now we're name dropping where his mom lives. No, I'm
Christian,
kidding.
this one's for you, babe.
But
I can't wait till I meet
you, Christian, for coming. Thank you, Governor Wes Moore, for all you do, and also for reposting our post from Pride.
Well, but also he gave so much time. Tell the story about how he hugged everyone.
Okay, so I get there before the parade is starting, knowing, and I joked with Warren being like, these are the two cars for the Grand Marshal and like, and the governor car. So you will be, and now that I'm thinking about it, I need to go back and look. I think the governor chose to walk and didn't ride in the car. I think there was potentially a convertible for him to be in.
Oh, and absolutely.
So just Morgan said earlier, how does he have the time to exercise and have a body like that?
Moving.
Okay, I was going to say, I know how that man was running that parade.
That's true.
He was taking
the time.
He's
always all over Maryland. He's hiking.
He does
moving.
He does I don't even know. I'm not a Navy person. Like, I'm not in the Navy, but when he does his leading the workout in the morning with the Naval Academy.
And I'm sorry, they know what they're doing. Marketing team, you're great. They know what they're doing when they put that video up with the sun. It's also the beautiful view. They have the bay in the background with the sunrise coming up.
The bay is a beautiful view. But let me go back. So I know I said we talked about our love for Wes and how he's a gorgeous man. Love for him as governor. And Dawn, girl, you lucky. We, at the parade, because Warren and Ben were walking with the governor and he was starting the parade, so Kiki and Miles and Baby Diva were coming to watch the parade. And I was going to volunteer and then, be stage mom, watch the parade and see them in it. So they got the Annapolis treatment, which was Cease had to do some house chores. He met us at the Pride Festival, but my Joe dropped them off on our boat at City Dock.
Little Diva.
So Little Diva comes in on the boat, all excited. They get off, and I was like, you guys just missed Warren Ben walking, because they were first. They got there like at 12:05 and it started at noon. So we were like, if we walk fast, and Little Diva had her scooter. We scooted up Main Street.
Such a good idea.
We catch up. We're like, we catch up with Wes, but he kept catching up with the parade because he would take his time with people. So we're walking. All of a sudden he veers. He was going to people in the crowd, shaking hands. He comes over, sees Kiki, comes off of the parade route, comes on the sidewalk, gives her a hug. We're like, Wes, we love you. Sees Little Diva on her scooter, shakes her hand, has a moment with her. Photographers are there. I'm like, oh my God. I'm taking photos of this because I'm standing behind Kiki and Little Diva. I'm thinking he's got to get back on the route because the parade's continuing. He then comes over to me and I'm like, oh my God, hugs me, embrace. I said, thank you so much for what you do for Maryland. And he goes, it was the look. It was like, just this is our guy. It was also the genuine connection. He was like, thank you for all that he's like, no, thank you. Thank you for, I was like, voting for you again, love what you do. Thank you so much for being here. He's like, thank you.
Wait, but
when I hugged him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Solid. He is a solid, what you're seeing. He's jacked.
he
hugs my brother-in-law. Then he hugs number one fan, Miles.
When he wears a suit, it puckers out because his chest is so jacked. Like that, I'm sorry. Like, it's an obvious thing. Everyone knows it.
I looked at, and I didn't get the picture of Miles, because I'm like literally shuffling the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh. And Miles, same thing, was like, Miles works out. Miles is a very athletic person.
Moving on from, honestly, the physical, my thing was, though, from what
Miles
ran. Okay, so let
running the whole parade route.
In case anyone's thinking, not that you are, of like, wait, where were Morgan and Joe and Angel? So we were on a red eye back from Monterey, and so I'll explain. I'll give my recap later. But so yada yada, we were delayed. So I'm getting the update when we arrive.
Yeah.
To the parade.
But so we all got hugs from Wes.
But what I'm saying is, tell me if this actually happened, because when I got there and got the update, I talked to Miles and he said he hugged everybody.
Yes.
Was he doing that up and down the parade route? What was it? Because
doing
Warren
it up and down.
Did Warren say?
No, he was doing up and down the parade route. He hugged Kiki, Little Diva, me, Miles.
That is so nice.
Shook the hand, and like one other two people, but we were selected. That's good vibe. So energy attracts energy. So that was Pride. So we are still in Pride Month. We both were in California Memorial Day weekend.
Real quick catch up.
Before Pride.
Yes. So before Pride. So, because I was just given the catch up of why we were late. Me, Donahue, Angel, first time we've ever taken a family vacation that was just us. We always have gone with other parts of our family,
help
and friends,
grandparent, aunties,
uncles, all the things.
Yeah.
And so we did a trip just us, our beautiful aunt, who her home, she was traveling over onto the East Coast. And so she was like, do you want to stay in our house? So we're like, absolutely. So we had to see them for one night and then had the house to ourselves. And it was amazing.
You got to see them?
Yeah, we had a beautiful overnight dinner.
That's so
it was so fun. It was awesome. We had a beautiful time. Angel was obsessed with the otters, the aquarium. The aquarium there really is phenomenal. The Monterey Aquarium is insane. So it was fantastic. So Angel was doing a lot of surfing, which was really fucking cute.
He had the cutest little wetsuit. Oh my God, with a little grom.
He was saying it was surfing, but it was boogie boarding.
Yeah, he kept saying,
so
I surfed
cute.
out in,
he loved
I was like,
surfing.
Where'd you surf? He's like, yeah. I said, California. Yeah, California.
So cute. He was so excited. So.
I love that. Yeah. And then Cease and I, Stacey talking, we were in Southern California Memorial Day weekend visiting family and friend family in LA, Irvine, Tunston area, and then Newport Beach, and seeing our cousin's daughter. So she's kind of like a niece. I kept saying like niece, cousin, niece, like auntie, cousin. You know what I mean?
First cousin once removed.
Yeah, but it's also different when
exactly.
it's like the ages.
It's like
auntie, so we also watched my cousin niece play in her little volleyball. We got to have good family time. Ours wasn't. We weren't. You know how it is. Like we're going to Southern California, and we love that we have friends in our friend family that lives, and our family, I should say first, that live in cool places. But we're there for family time. It wasn't a vacation. Like we had a great time. We're relaxed, but you get it. It was family time.
We've done that many times over the years. When you hear us talk about our trips to Southern California, it was always seeing our cousins.
Yeah.
And it would oftentimes be a long weekend.
Yeah.
And, you get it in, you have a great time. And
it was great. So it was so fun getting to see them and have a good time. And then one of my best girlfriends from college, stayed with her too and seeing her 3 adorable kids. And husband. So it was good because she used to be in Baltimore and DC too, and so we're used to being close by.
How long has she been out there now?
2017.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
But, so we had great Memorial Day weekend, and then like we were saying, so last weekend was Pride. So today, in the spirit of Pride, this is not our coming out episode, but we wanted to talk about
that Nick still.
Yeah, obviously we love Pride, and it's no secret if you listen to the pod, welcome in. We love celebrating diversity in all shapes and forms, and
we also have a huge fucking group of LGBTQ friends.
We do. We love it. We love the community. And also with that too, it's the allyship piece. We're not here to talk about what it's like to be a gay man or a lesbian woman or a trans woman, because we're not those things. So we're not going to speak to it and act like, we're the experts. But we want to talk about, for us, why we love Pride, what allyship means, how to be an ally.
What it symbolizes for us, too.
What it symbolizes for us. And just also, if you're curious, not if you're curious, but how everybody should get involved. So why don't it was interesting because when Morgan and I were talking about this topic, we're like, it's Pride Month. We love Pride. I think too, because since we both lived in DC for, 12 to 15 years, depending on each one of us. I think I was 12. Morgan was you were there for a long time. How long did you live in DC?
8 years.
Was it 8 years?
Yeah, no. I moved there in 2007 and I left in 2014.
Okay. Maybe I'm adding more years to mine. When did I started working there in 2010 and I left in 2017 and then I came back.
So you went back. It's because you went back.
So I was lived there for 9 years.
You ended up being
there
there
for
longer
10.
for me.
Anyway, and we've always grown up in the DMV. If you haven't been to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, it is also like the gay capital of the United States. And I think depending on what list you look at, one of the most gay-friendly cities. But because of, where we lived as adults, we were around an openly gay community. Mm-hmm. But throughout our lives, we were also, not just us, everyone, even when our friends weren't out, and assumptions weren't being made, but we grew up in a house that was if you've heard the other episodes, very welcoming. Like, we celebrate differences, but we also are inclusive as fuck. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, I say now to this day, I have a fear of not including others because I remember the time starting at like ages 4, 5, and 6 when you're in different social interactions or on your own at school, a sporting event, where my mom and my parents were saying, you invite everybody, include this person, take them under your wing. Did you talk to them today? They're not sitting with anybody. So you get it.
Well, and I will say though, but caveat that with also, because there were moments where I had to, and this is only because I'm saying this, and then we could have a whole pod topic on it later. But I had moments absolutely where mom would say to me as a kid, you don't have to actually be friends with everyone.
Oh, like, there's sure.
times where if you realize that's not a relationship that's good for you, so I say that, yes, everyone is welcome as who they are, but as far as kindness and how that person impacts you, that was the line. So
completely. Yeah, that exactly. There was always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
But
you get the idea.
We get the idea. And not only was it just about, because I'm sure no matter what you may have heard in your house, I'm sure most of my friends could probably relate to parents being like, be kind to everybody, But I don't want to speak for other people, but just from what I've gathered, especially even friends from childhood, again, because we were the different family, I don't think most people grew up in a household where they talked about what is gay mean, and celebrating it and talking about it in a normalized way of, well, like mommy's cousin, well, some people love men, some people love women, like that's okay. And it's just, everyone's different. You don't know who you like.
And that's a funny thing to
that was like a young, like I want, really like 4-year-old.
But also what to add to that is it was just that simple. There wasn't like, I think when some people think because maybe they don't have, which is completely understandable. Like if you don't know anyone who's gay or you don't live in that, I don't know. Like, I guess, there's just such a high percentage of gay people, but okay, there's no one around you that's out. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So I can understand that you might not have experience with the community, but you don't have to, be like, we're all with our friends and hearing hysterical comments or end up, when, oh my God, I'm flashing to a DC. For some reason, we were at one point with a bunch of our gay friends. Like, they had a gay porn on. Like, you don't have to have, like...
Okay, that's a different kind of party. I'm kidding.
No, it was like a joke or something.
No, totally.
But you don't have to... It doesn't have to be a conversation about someone's sex life.
Like no.
When you're explaining why
you don't converse.
Those two people are married, you're not explaining to your kid because they decided they want to make a baby together and penetrate. Like, it's not that, it doesn't have to be that serious.
It just, like you said,
everyone can love who they want to love.
That, exactly. And that's a good point of, like, I was thinking this too, because our niece, little baby diva, yesterday we were at a family event and she cheered when Stacey and I kissed. Stacey's when my Joe and I kissed. She went, yes. And I was like, what? I said, oh, did you think she's very much into that, the princesses
right
love,
now.
That Disney phase. And so for her, I was like, oh, did you love that I kissed my prince in love? And it's also that too. It's not when you explain, like she kept saying.
You forget those moments. Remember when our babysitter, when her boyfriend came over and we saw them, we were like, whoa!
Yeah, we were like, oh, we saw a kiss. Yeah, and so she was all squealy about it, but it's the same thing. And it's so interesting, too, because I think about it, too, especially with Baby Diva, like, being around and with Angel and with Baby Boy, all of our niece-nephew names, they are around gay people, too, because gay people, like our friends... Our friend family that we're very close with,
they never see it. They don't question it.
They don't question it. It's just the norm.
Yeah.
But anyway, so not only was it the norm, you realize, for me, really realized as an adult, like, no, not everybody was growing up in the household where I assumed if you were that acceptance. One, the funny thing is, we did grow up going to Catholic school from grades K through 8. Obviously, if you know what the Catholic Church believes, they don't support gay marriage. I think just recently, it was like within the last few months, the Pope said he would like allow them to have a blessing or some shit in the church. I don't even know what the fuck it was. I'm not even, if you know me on a personal level, I'm no longer Catholic.
Catholic Church could fuck right off.
That's a whole other topic. I won't tangent us because it's a lot of pain. And that's another thing, again, where people don't see us. While I say this, I want to read, and I had reposted this on my Instagram earlier this week, love our girl Oprah, this quote that Oprah said: the Christian value of love your neighbor doesn't mean only love your neighbor if they're exactly the same as you. It means allowing everybody to stand in their own truth and be proud of who they are. That's what Pride Month is about, uplifting those voices and also amplifying them with our own in the name of equity and inclusion. That right there, the part of uplifting those voices and also amplifying them with our own. We talk about it in other episodes of what it was like to grow up and not feel seen and to not be able to speak up about what made us hurt or when we were scared, living around with and being in situations with people that we trusted and we loved. When someone stands up for you, when someone stands up with you, you feel safe, you feel heard, you feel seen. That allyship of people saying, I'm standing with you, is what we want to really get in today. And because that started at an early age in our house, I think, we talk about doing it for the story, right? One of Morgan and I were like, okay, when was our first like pride moment? Before we were adults, we took this vacation to Cape Cod, the New England area, right? And on the vacation, we went to the Cape. And then we went to Martha's Vineyard one day, which if you didn't know, Martha's Vineyard was like the vacation spot for Black families. And we went to Provincetown, which if you know, P-Town is like, I going there recently, which actually Joe and I went to on our honeymoon. I was like,
oh, I don't
gay
think I
Disney
remember that.
World, like so cute. And like
darling.
everyone was just happy and able to be themselves. And so our parents took us there on our vacation. And I mean, I remember it. I loved it. Truthfully, I was 12. You were...
I would have had to be 16 because...
Yeah, you were like going
Mara
into your
definitely
sophomore
was 2.
year. Yeah. And we weren't questioning it. Even because I've said, and I laugh about this memory because even as I got older and I'm in DC and my gay friends are like, oh, we're going to P-Town, doing this and that. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I haven't been there since I was a kid. And they're like, oh my gosh, you went as a kid? And I'm like, yeah, my parents went there part of our vacation. I remember going to the drag queen parade.
And the ice cream shop was so cute.
Yeah. And we had a ball. It was, but we also felt safe as a family. Like it was a vacation destination we went to, and there was nothing said. There was actually compliments of like, your family's so beautiful. And we know that usually meant we see you. We did not see other mixed families like ever. We were shocked.
And we would get comments at home, you know, I remember going to Frederick, the big city, and, you know, we would get comments about like, oh, your family's so beautiful. But it wasn't the same as the constant comments that were happening in P-Town, you know, in Provincetown, that on that trip.
Yeah. I will say this too. And it's interesting because this is something else as you get older. I'm like, I don't know if I had a great memory for being a kid or what. I swear, and Mom has vetted it, that some things I described to her, she's like, yeah, you couldn't have known that. There's no pictures of it. Like, absolutely, you were 3, you were 4, you were 5. You remember the moments, maybe not the specific stranger, but you remember the glances. They were positive. And you know what a negative glance is. You know what oh my gosh, look at them, a point. And, you know, if you didn't have to experience that as a kid, good for you. You know, if you're a white person, that's what white privilege is, you guys. Totally. That's what it is. Being in an area and not have to be worried about, you know, where you are. But...
Well, no. And so I was going to say the other piece of that too, of the welcoming of others and feeling safe with others and being able to feel recognized by others and having someone else like stick up for you is, I think about Grandma Williams and making that, you know, comment about, you know, people might be different from you, but that doesn't mean that they're different. That's just all that it is. That doesn't mean that there's any...
Leave them alone.
That doesn't mean that they're a bad person or there's any sort of... And so even with, when I think of, you know, our experience up there and how comfortable we were, I think that's for us, what that is a reflection of what allyship means, not just for saying like, hey, see these people, I respect these people. Not only am I friends with them, but even if you're not friends with them, you're like, I accept you and I'm welcoming of you. That's great. But it's also take it that step further, because when I think about Grandma Williams, I think about her always referencing, and this is, sorry, when I say Grandma Williams, this is our Black grandmother, our dad's mom. And I think of her saying things like, oh, you know, when she would tell stories like, oh, that such and such, and tell us what happened. Such a nice white man. Or when, you know, the bank wouldn't give her a loan to buy after her husband had passed, and they wouldn't give her a loan to buy or give her a mortgage, excuse me. And so her white neighbor and friend went and basically threatened them and was like, I'm going to pull my money from you if you don't, you know, give her a mortgage. And so my point with that is it's not only the putting of the flag out there, but it's the action, because it's the action that makes the difference. It's the action that is the true definition of welcoming. And first and foremost, I will say, just being a business that has your sticker, that your pride flag sticker, you know, the pride flag for me means all are welcome, really, especially with the trans, you know, and the racial one with the black and the, you know, with the, it's called is it the trans flag? I forget what the literal name is of it.
Yeah, trans rights
flag. Something like that.
It's trans pride.
And actually Amber Hikes, who I was lucky enough to meet because we went to Afrotech together. I got her contact through another friend at the ACLU, but she actually designed that when she was in office in, I forget which city she was politically serving in. But yeah, that's how that flag got going. And it's like, now it's an international symbol.
Love that.
Anyway, but when I see that, especially that flag, that to me is the sign of like every human is welcome here. As long as you're leading with kindness, like every human is welcome here. And so it's not only that I've then been accepted, but then it's also, which that I appreciate you doing just right off the bat. But then if you are taking a step further and you're taking action, like, you know, Stacey volunteering at Pride, or, you know, employing, you know, all LGBTQ, trans, et cetera, you know, and that's the kind of thing, like Bread and Butter Kitchen. That to me is exactly that amplification of, I'm not doing any, you know, pride washing, so to speak. Like, I'm not just putting the flag up to get the money, because we know statistically LGBTQ plus community spends more in many areas than non-LGBTQ people. So it's not just being smart enough to know that it's a good business decision, but also that you actually mean it. That makes me feel safe as a Black person.
I was going to say, you bring up a good point, and I kind of want to jump back.
And disabled and all the other things.
Yes. When you were saying that about, you know, putting up the flag, don't just put up, you know, take it a step further, and completely agree with the business. But it's also, I think of, again, when we talk about going to that trip, it was so... going to Cape Cod, because we talked about it before, you know, we're in Maryland, it's a purple state. Even if a state that, you know, typically votes one way, it doesn't matter how people are voting. It's all people are still living within a place. You know, you're going to get those pockets. So, but when we went to Cape Cod, it was so interesting, because I do remember specific times, like we were saying, P-Town and in Boston, when we were in Boston for the part of the trip, people commenting like, oh, your family is so beautiful. Which, again, like we were saying, we take that as, okay, they're an ally of us. You know, they're not going to, you know, someone's saying that, even if they're saying it in a weird way sometimes, you know what I mean? They're an ally of us. But then also on that trip, there was a potential, didn't turn into full-on road rage incident, but I will say this. So our dad and I would always laugh that, like, I like to drive. I don't speed all the time, but I like to drive fast, right? This is Stacey talking. And our dad worked in a job too, where when he was working, he was an electrical lineman. So you're also driving a truck. You get it. If you don't want to ding your license, right? And get tickets that's part of your job. But also he's a Black man driving. So you're not going to be doing things that are crazy, because
and he had his, you know, how many...
Yes, daughters in the car.
And his wife in the car.
Right.
I'm just saying.
But, so I say this because he didn't speed. Dad's such a safe driver and very cautious. We, on this trip, because we actually drove from Maryland to Cape Cod, I remember driving, and I don't remember if it was us driving from Boston out to the Cape, or it was definitely somewhere along that. We were on the highway, and there was a moment where a car thought Dad cut them off. And we're in our, you know, Ford Aerostar minivan. And all of a sudden it was like, it became the guy, you know, of course he's like honking his horn. But I remember him then, it was like erratic, you know, behind honking the horn, you know, flicking him off. And then he pulled up next to the car, and he rolled his window down, and he stuck his face. And I still remember it. He was white man, longer kind of blonde hair, in like a hatchback vehicle, and he's like screaming like, fuck you,
just from the story you told me.
But it was awesome, and we were like, we are not at home, we don't know where we are. Also triggered maybe back to other moments, again, if you listen to episode 1 about us in a car with white people telling us to roll down the window, right? Where it was like we were scared. And I remember it didn't escalate, but I'm 12 at this point. So clearly, again, you've been through some things. We're having conversations at home. I remember just the mom and dad's interaction in the moment was their body language of like freaking, you know, dad under his breath was cursing, and mom you know, it was that like, oh my gosh, fearful kind of moment. Mm-hmm. And of course, even in my 12-year-old brain, I'm going to racist. Like, because again, it was the rolling the window down and making the gesture. Could have been not, but that's of course what I'm thinking. And that's what my experience has been. So I say that because that was part of the Massachusetts, New England trip. We get the family. I remember it was a couple in Boston being like, "You're so pretty," when we were walking out of like the Cheers bar or something.
Oh yeah.
And then we go to P-Town and also being in Martha's Vineyard and learning the history of like, this is where Black families would come. And we're like, oh my gosh, you know, that's so cool. It's this beautiful place. And then P-Town feeling like, again, we didn't need this explanation from mom and dad of like, you know, some people here are going to be dressed like, because in our house, it was like, this is fine. It's not like mom and dad had an inclining thinking, oh, maybe one of the girls is going this way with their sexuality or that way. It was just, they didn't have to worry. We didn't have to worry about it because mom talked about her cousins and her whatever. But for me as a 12-year-old, that symbol, that pride symbol, which also we talked about in another episode of going to Rehoboth, the pride flag for a Black person was also a symbol of safety.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I'm not to say that people in the LGBTQIA plus community can also be racist, but marginalized groups, typically, we stick together. Again, we mentioned the allyship between the Jewish community and the Black community and how many, you know, Jewish people participated in the civil rights era and the marches in Selma to help that journey, to help the messaging get there and for protection. People listen to the white people, right? So in the same way that we in this episode are talking about our allyship, that childhood trip also was a reminder to us because there were other childhood trips. Remember we went to Kentucky for a family reunion. We did not choose. No offense. I'm sure great things. But we walk into, on the way there, it was a convenience store. We go in to get something. And this guy behind the register is staring at dad, like all of us, but really gaping. And, you know, I'm sure I'm little. I'm legitimately, I can't be older than 4 because this is when I would literally be like, Mom.
Was it the reunion?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, we were young.
And
Mara didn't exist.
No, dad said, the guy actually says to Dad, I'm sorry, I don't mean to stare. I've never seen a Black person before.
To have to actually say that out loud means you were like staring so aggressively. That's crazy.
Yeah. But at least he said it.
No,
I was
totally.
shocked.
Well, in a way that was like, I'm not going to attack you. I just want you to know I'm like shocked.
So we got our stuff and got the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Really.
Oh my
Cash
God.
out. Go.
Oh my God.
So there are places when we don't have a symbol and you don't have, again, people hear, oh, white privilege. What is that? White privilege is being able to walk into an establishment and not worry about.
Walk into an establishment
you're loud,
and go to the bathroom alone.
Go alone. Exactly.
I would never go to the bathroom alone if I didn't know where I was.
Yes. No. And be able to, that is what it is. That is being able to vote for Donald Trump and not worry about the repercussions. It's also your privilege, especially if you are a male. You don't have to worry about but I'm saying if you have an experience going on vacation and being like, oh my gosh, the mountains of West Virginia, I'm making this up, are stunning. We want to go on a camping trip there where I have to be like,
we have to look
what
at
if we have to go and get gas?
You have to look at the exact town where you're camping.
What if our car breaks down? That's very real. And that is still real.
We can't mention Donald Trump's name and give a little bit of understanding of why people might be voting for him, but he's scaring you. He's telling you that I need to close the borders because they're taking our jobs and they're racist.
Yep.
Rapists. No, they're not. You don't want the migrant worker, $7 an hour job. You don't want it. That's not No.
There's just so much there. But on that point,
we will bring it back to the allyship.
The allyship. And also, again, like we're saying, it doesn't matter if it's a state, like it's everywhere. And then you have, there's still extremely rich communities when typically they say the correlation of education and money, right? So you would think, well, if educated people like Washington, D.C., it's always voting Democrat. Like it voted for Biden, right? It voted not for Trump. And Washington, D.C. also does have, there's a larger, gay population, larger people working in the government, whatever. Then you have these areas too of extreme wealth in like Southern California that are very pro-Trump. Mm-hmm. And you're going, okay, it's greed. And like you were saying before about being around minorities, like the person in Kentucky,
they're the same.
Well, there ain't a lot of minority, but there are a lot of Hispanic people, but there are not a lot of Black people in some of these upper class.
Yes, and exactly. And think about Southern the California, majority of the Latina.
And they wanted to keep it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And think about the majority of the Latina folks that they're around are not the ones that also make multi-million-dollar. It's a white. They're thinking that's the person that cleans my floor. They're not sitting next to Wes Moore.
It's interesting too when you say those people making the multi-millions too, because again, I know we're like jumping a little bit because I do want to come back to, and I can round it out with kind of the vacation.
It's all
what the pride symbol means, but that money is green. And I used to say this when I worked at a company that also was in the wedding industry, and I would have wedding vendors that I would call in my territory when I was doing sales that didn't want to buy digital advertising on the area of the company's website that advertised towards gay and that advertised to the LGBTQ plus community. And people would specifically say to me, can you remove me from that? I don't support same-sex marriage. I don't do gay weddings. And I would say to them, I'm confused. You said you had X amount of weddings still available for next year. How do you plan to get that? I don't care where the money's coming from. Money's green. Do you not like money? Do you hate money? And I think you even had a stat around this, right?
And I was going to say, exactly. So I was like, I have to look at, when I was thinking about this episode, I was like, I have to look at the money here too. Because, in corporate America, like you learn how to do that. I was in consulting for how many years? Like, that the biggest piece is follow the money, right? Because that's how the United States, that's how the world, but the United States of America, it's controlled by the capitalism, right?
I'll take anybody's money if they want to give it to me.
Well, but also I'm saying like, you have to understand that when these businesses are putting up pride flags, they're not doing it just out of the kindness of their hearts when they donate to Donald Trump on the back end. They're doing it because they're not dumb. They'll take the money from anyone. They don't care whose money it is. They're just going to spend it on what they want to spend it on. And so the stat was from Nielsen Research. Not only do LGBTQ households make 10% more shopping trips in a year than the average U.S. household, the recent research found that they buy more at checkout. LGBTQ households spent an average of $4,135 at retail stores in 2014, 7% more than non-LGBTQ households. But this is the thing.
Yep.
So when you're actually, the site was great, actually, the way that they broke down the research or the data.
Yep.
So bookstores, I'm going to just read because this is interesting. Then they went to specific consumers. They were like, well, where are they actually spending their money?
Yep.
72% LGBTQ folks spend 72% more money at bookstores than non. Isn't that insane?
I'm not shocked at all. Some of y'all need to read.
Right? It's the education too behind it. So, and then 55%, this is hilarious, liquor stores, 35% convenience stores, 32% pet stores. Like, come on, a dog, a gay couple's
I say this
dog,
all the time. I want to be reincarnated.
Electronics, 28%, health food stores, 19%. And yes,
I want to say, Stacey talking here, my dream is if reincarnation is a thing, is real, I'm open to all what could be possible. I would like to come back as a dog owned by a gay couple. Because when I tell you, if you're a pet store owner, any kind of thing related to dogs,
if you don't have
a big old pride flag, if it's not, that's like any business.
And pride collars and pride like little jackets.
Literally.
Those.
You hate money. Then you hate money. And same, if you're a wedding vendor and you're not putting on your website that you do gay weddings or you work with, it's okay if you don't have in your portfolio, but you're a photographer, you haven't done a gay.
Gays are welcome.
Yeah,
I'll take the client. I got the,
and if you
whatever.
If you're someone in a business where you haven't like that, where it's a service directly and you haven't done a gay wedding yet, you don't have that portfolio, well, that's okay. Say where you stand, and
just
also
to say that you're welcome. That you
better put up something about pride.
You take the business if you have the opportunity. Yeah.
But let people know. Let people know, because that's what we're saying too. And I said this recently to someone. They were like, I was like, wow, your town doesn't really, I'm surprised you don't do anything for pride. And they were like, oh, well, everyone's welcome here. And
that's privilege. That's fucking privilege.
It's privilege. Absolutely.
You don't understand. You don't understand the meaning.
Understand. And I say that too, because it's like, again, letting someone know it's okay, because not every place we can assume we're welcome. And when Cease and I went on vacation in 2020, and it was COVID times, we went up to Stowe, Vermont. And when we pulled into the town of Stowe, which is one of my favorite places in the United States, and there was a banner that said, "We support Black Lives Matter," Joe and I could just take a sigh of relief. I had like tears in my eyes, because Stowe is a tiny, small town. And to go to a place that I've been on vacation, maybe 5 times max, and that's what they are able to say also to a town they get a lot of tourists. It's a big ski town. So they're saying, we welcome everybody. They're actually telling me.
You know where I got that vibe?
And I'm feeling good.
Ennis, Montana. Fucking loved it. Little teeny tiny, like one little street, fucking vibes.
And you feel that welcoming. Yeah. Now, granted, Emmitsburg, Maryland, where we grew up, I have never seen a business with the pride flag, a Black Lives Matter. Somebody prove me wrong.
I've seen it with a Confederate flag, though.
I've seen Confederate flags.
Somebody's welcome. I've seen
Trump flags. I've seen it. Yeah, it's like and where our town was a small town, we went to high school, there was like 1,000 kids, and that was with neighboring towns.
Not even. 800.
Well, when I graduated, it was 1,000.
Wow, it grew.
We grew, yeah. But that wasn't just our little Emmitsburg town. There were neighboring towns. And when none of those neighboring towns in this large area of northern Frederick County, you don't see one pride flag, Black Lives Matter flag, you feel like people are, not only are they not supporting me, but the ones that that maybe do own the business or do have the power, they don't care about me. They are scared to say I support. Where I will say, so there's that big piece where you're like, wow, something I never got to experience in my entire fucking life, a small town saying we support Black lives and we put up pride flags. My own town, people that know me, know my family for generations, aren't able to do. Mm-hmm. We have to fight that fight on our own. And I do say this to everybody, like, if you're listening and you're a friend of ours at home, like, help somebody out. Like, come on. And if you're saying, oh, I won't, let me tell you a little story about one of our favorite businesses here in Annapolis, Bread and Butter Kitchen. If you haven't been, if you come into town, do go.
The food's fucking phenomenal, first off, and the vibes right
it's
on the water.
On the water,
fucking darling.
They do live music on Sundays. It's really cute. Same, fantastic. During 2020, they did immediately show their support of the Black Lives Matter movement. What happened? People that had never gone into the establishment, never gone into the cafe, fucking racists, started posting terrible reviews on Yelp, on Google, and everything about this business to lower the status. Obviously, Google and Yelp had good policies around it where they could flag it, but that was because the company not only supported it, they put up flags. They said, they made statements this is what we support.
Their shirts all said.
Yeah, you can buy their everyday shirts at Bread and Butter Kitchen. They were selling them in there.
Their everyday shirt, their customer or their uniform is like a.
They are
I don't know what it says, but it's all are welcome and gays and all.
They are very open about their support for, it's a woman-owned, veteran-owned business that's very open about their support for the trans community, the the gay community overall, immigrants, Black people, all of it. And what then happened was people started in the community flooding the business with support.
It was cool, but not only within the community, because I talked to her about it, not within the community, but then it caught, it went a little viral, and she would get gift cards from people that were never going to come here. Gift cards from people in New York just sending her money.
Yep.
So the gift card was spent, and even if no one ever actually came and got the food, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. During COVID, when, they were saying that support your business. So it's also those of you that are saying, oh, I'm worried about people coming in. If you're also in a small town and there's one watering hole, people are going to go or they're not. Mm-hmm. And if you're scared about, oh, what if they vandalize my business? Well, as someone who had their driveway spray painted with kill all niggers like we did when we were in kindergarten, it was second grade and Morgan was in fifth, whatever. It would be really nice to see the community go, we see you. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure other families that might live here or might come to our restaurants or our, businesses, our schools don't have to experience that or worry, is this place safe for me to live? Mm-hmm. That's privilege. There's a program right now, too, that West Virginia is doing where I can't remember all the specifics, but if you Google it, they're giving you literally get money.
Oh, to move there.
To move there.
Yeah.
They're trying to revive the community. And there was an interview recently of a white couple that took up the offer and they actually moved from Maryland. Mm-hmm. They were the mortgage is a lot cheaper here, the cost of living. And I thought that is privilege.
That's privilege.
For you to be able to pick up and move to wherever you want, particularly a rural small town where they probably don't have a lot of minorities and you can live your life. Mm-hmm. And so to those that say to me, we don't need pride flags in our town because everyone's welcome here, show me. Mm-hmm. Show me.
Until we live in a different world. Until we live in a different world, that's not a good answer. That's not good enough.
It's not good enough.
It's not a good enough. And when the stats are there, this is not just we're telling you our stories, but these are statistics that we can read of the violence against the LGBTQ community and then violence against trans women, especially trans women of color. This isn't shit we're making up. Until that doesn't exist, that's not an excuse.
And I will say this too, especially, and you know who you are, if Donald Trump is coming into your town to campaign, I can't even put words behind that. But I get it. There's laws that you can't restrict a political candidate, a presidential candidate. Fine. We live in a democracy. If Donald Trump is coming into your town to campaign during Pride Month.
Disgusting.
And if he's coming into your town to campaign for money, that means there's people that live there that have money. A lot of it. And you're saying, I don't need pride flags here because everyone is welcome. Really? But you let the streets be lined with Trump flags. It doesn't take much.
If that is going to happen in your community and you don't say that it's wrong or you don't pick a side because you understand. Here's my thing
or if you don't say, oh, I hear what you're saying.
But also,
I see what you mean.
Here's the other thing that I need. And this is the moment that I personally, because we need people to not vote for Donald Trump for way more than my safety. It is for the state of the world, the state of this country, the state of women's health. These are real, my health. These are huge, huge issues. Women are dying right now. The stories are coming out. They just had a story about a woman being this close to death because she got turned away from multiple hospitals inside of Texas while she was already having a miscarriage. The miscarriage was known. The rulings are not clear. All these doctors, all these nurses are in fear for their safety, their lives, because prison's on the line.
And mind you, we're talking about women's rights, trans rights.
But I'm saying we need to talk to those people that are having in Newport Beach, having a Trump rally, are not thinking about trans rights. So I'm going to talk to them on what they can relate to. The percentage of people at a at a rally in a wealthy area in Southern California, having a Trump rally where there's LA and Orange County right now. Trump just campaigned and got millions of dollars. So what they're not around are trans people. What I will talk to them about is what they care about, their money. Trump is not going to make you more money. He may, in the sense of he'll do whatever he can so that you have like zero taxes, but you're already sitting pretty. We're not talking about your money anymore. This is way bigger than your money. Yep. This is the percentage of people at that party that have been on birth control or used birth control is high.
Had an abortion.
If you don't want
have an IUD.
But if you don't want to have access to contraception and you want to have a child and you want to be guaranteed to have every child that you could possibly have or use abstinence or whatever, keep it up. Keep it up. Go ahead and vote for him. He has said out loud that he will get rid
if you don't want
he will make it a federal offense to have an abortion. Mm-hmm. A federal offense to have an abortion, which means it's a slippery slope to could they ban contraception?
Yep.
These are women's lives. These are your personal choices.
Yep.
Your choice to have a child or not. I know plenty of wealthy people that don't want to have kids.
Yep.
What are you going to do if you don't have birth control?
Yep.
Does that mean they're going to take away the men's birth control too? The new little gel birth control?
And will they take it?
These are the things, these are serious things.
Yeah.
And so I understand that you aren't concerned with what's happening for a trans person or what's happening for me as a Black woman. But what I will also talk to you about is disability. There are people that were at those events in Southern California that were disabled or will become disabled or have someone in their life that's disabled. Donald Trump is not looking out for healthcare the way that Joe Biden is looking out for healthcare. I mean, these are the issues that I think that people don't understand. Just because Donald Trump says I'm a businessman and I knew how to fire people when he has the amount of money that he has lost over the years. I mean, Donald Trump would be in a better position if he had just taken the money that he inherited and just put it into an investment fund rather than like investing in a bunch of shitty businesses and like losing a ton of money and being a crook and a thief and now being a convicted felon. Like, I don't want someone who's a convicted felon having responsibilities over my body or my money or the world. Like,
So it really is a time. And in the same note too, where I've had people as well, like I read that, the quote from Oprah about really what the people with their fucking Christian values and everything else. And as someone, again, who I was raised as a Catholic, no, our family does not identify as Catholics anymore. But it is also just complete and utter bullshit that you're going to say the what would Jesus do and turn your other cheek and God loves everyone. But,
well, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I'm just saying, like, I've gotten into it, people that have said to me, like, even around trans rights, it's like, I don't want some man to be coming into the bathroom where my daughter goes. And I said, that's odd because I know your family's Catholic. Do you have the same fear of your child going to church that a priest
raping your kid
might sexually abuse your child, molest your child, and then they shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. So don't have all these hypocritical, conflicting. Leave people, again, we've said it before, treat people as they want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And if someone's not giving harm to you, a family member or someone, leave them alone. Well, can't you just live your fucking life? Can't we live our lives?
Well, and absolutely. Can't we? But no, we can't because we know the answer to that because this is where we are and that people think that they need to have an opinion. But here's my thing. Here, I'll give you an opinion. And you need to question. You need to question things. You cannot just take tradition as finality.
Dangerous when you're just compliant.
Yes.
And
that's what's happening right now.
When you don't question, when you don't dig in, when you don't go, just like we talk about how in the episode are the importance of friendships of friends with the opposite sex. If you're a single, straight, cisgendered male and yeah, you're like, fuck, reproductive rights, they matter. If you're not trying to be, you don't want to be a dad
right now, but you want to be able to have
you're like,
sex
okay,
with
I am livid about that. So big check. If you are a gay man with, I mean, you know all the things. It's like, it is just so wild to me.
People don't know all the things. That's the thing. People don't know.
That's the thing. And people refuse, but it really is.
I don't think it's a refusal. I think there's some that are refusing because they want to use the excuse.
Yeah, I think they refuse to just be bothered.
But people also get stuck in their ways. I think they don't like to say that, hey, I was wrong. I think especially now with social media, they're like, well, I was a hardcore Trumper and I want to stay committed. But the thing is, it's no different than like when Black people were all Republicans because of Abraham Lincoln until the 40s.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh wait, we need to actually change shift because now we have a president that's running that's going to Roosevelt you can change your mind. And you don't have to fucking apologize to anybody about it. You don't have to explain yourself.
That's the difference too of like, talking about with the gay community and the Black community or just marginalized groups. We said this before. I think it's like when you already don't fit in, and I'm using air quotes, into what is American ideals, which is like just to be a white heterosexual family, you're used to having to be like stand up for yourself or speak up. So it's also in this allyship piece. You can put up a flag. You can donate to the Trevor Project. You can go volunteer at your own pride. But like, you can do these things, but it's also, are you going to say something, speak up when someone is in the room and not in the room?
Well, and so that's calling out to those that's calling out completely the allyship piece. That's true allyship and calling out, when you say white cisgendered males and, we also have a lot of white cisgender male friends that are huge allies of this podcast. Huge. We see you, we hear you. The appreciation and the support matters big time. But I'm actually going to also call in each other because what you also need to understand about this moment is same as we see the aggressively right white cisgender males that fear women, they also fear the fact that they're very aware that in a very short time, the word minority will not even make sense because we will be the majority. It will be marginalized, will actually then be the only word that makes sense because we will be the majority. And so in this moment, especially because we now have so many diverse folks able to vote because the age they're 18 now and they're more Gen Z and I don't even know what the new gen is.
Alpha.
So understand that we have power together, but that's also a call out and a call into. That means you have to show up and vote. That means you need to. And let's also call it out and be aware that the reason politics is confusing is it was because it was designed to be that way. They don't want us to understand.
It's like taxes.
Exactly. They don't want us to understand.
They want more money.
Well, they don't want us to understand because they want us to fear. They know we already fear that we aren't smart enough because they didn't allow us to get the education. They forced us into the schools when they were, in quotes, educating us in some only Black and boarding school for Indigenous people and women not being allowed to vote. They weren't letting us in and they were keeping us down because then we would become a threat. Now we do. And this is also why same week that the Fearless Fund loses, in their case, the judgment, the civil suit, the judgment ended up going against them. Because
and the Fearless Fund gives funding to
black and brown women.
Black women-owned businesses.
Black women-owned business, Black and brown, and largely Black women, because the percentage of venture capital that goes to Black women-owned businesses is like 0.0013 or something insane. And there's such a fear that if this understanding, because while that's the number of the money given out, the number of Black female entrepreneurs is so high in comparison to, I don't recall the number, we should look at it right now, but that number is so high in comparison to others that if there are more funds like the Fearless Fund giving out this money, then all of a sudden they realize, wow, that would be a lot of power, because there's a lot of fearless, the point of the fund's name. There are a lot of fearless, which we've talked about before, Black women, because they have to be courageous, because they have to be confident to survive. So if you have all these women that are already going into business because they have no opportunity anyway, and then you really give them money, significant money to grow their business, then they're going to take business away from us. Then the marginalized. Yeah. I give you that information though to understand, if you take action, if you say, I am going to say, I admit I don't understand who's running right now in my local community, it's easy. You can do a quick, I do it every time. There's always some group that I don't know. You can do a quick Google search and you can find, that's what newspapers are for. That's why we have journalism, and read.
And that's the sad thing is, like, I don't know. People are just, I don't know what it is. I'm just not taking it seriously.
I think it's exhaustion, but I think it's also not knowing. But what I will tell you though is there's a wave right now that's happening of so many people that are genuinely sick and upset with the state of our health, with, chemicals continuing to go into our bodies because of fossil fuels, with there's enough people in politics that are upset enough now that if you do the research, you can find someone that you respect and you want to vote for, but you have to use your power. It's like Grandma Williams always said, she took every opportunity to vote because when she was born, she couldn't.
Yes, our grandmother couldn't vote. I mean, black
women in general
could not vote until 1920. Our grandmother would have been 6 years old.
So that means her mom, right?
Yeah.
So that means the people that our grandmother grew up with.
Yeah, like
could not vote.
Our sister takes little Diva with her to go vote, and we were like, wow, and she said, she does it too because it's like, it's such an important thing, we all know, but with our family and our grandmother who was Black not being able or voting, passing for Black people or women, in 1920, it's like she was 6, older than little D. Like it's crazy that.
Yeah, imagine Kiki not being able to vote.
Yeah, people are like, oh, that was so long ago. It doesn't impact us. I literally had someone say, oh, racism's not that bad. Like, in Annapolis. I'm like, and again, I'll go into another episode about that. But I will say that too. You see me as I am. Mm-hmm. You have so many of our, friends in the LGBTQ plus IA community too, where you work alongside, you worship alongside, you go to school with, your kids go to school with their kids. You that have to. It's not even have to, but our society makes it you have to say who you sleep with, what your sexuality is. You have to let people in to your life. And then just being an ally is also saying, I'm accepting, I'm welcoming, I have your back. You are allowed to you should have what I have. You shouldn't have to fear, being who you are at work, being who you are at your kids' school, in your communities. And, the amount of LGBTQ plus people that have to start their first day. I changed job. I've been at a new company every 3 years for the last 12 years. To think of what a first day would be like if I was someone that's LGBTQ plus, of having to explain it or people questioning.
Oh, I've had friends say specifically they come out every day at work because they know that someone's in their mind. If they meet someone new, their head is spinning of oh my gosh, are they gay? Or and they will immediately just drop the line of, oh, my husband and I went out to dinner last night.
Yeah. And then people that are just to get it over with. Or in different industries, lines of work where it's I could get paid less or see me less, or, this is more of a typical, maybe there's a Christian tie-in or you are a teacher at a, Catholic school.
Yep.
because we definitely had those teachers that were educators of ours at Catholic school that were gay when we were growing up. Like,
yeah, and he was out, which was crazy.
And thinking of all of that again, it's another form of privilege that I have, right? Even as a Black woman, that I don't have to say to people, I am Black. I'm here at work to do my job. And so the allyship too is, it's speaking up for others. It's showing up for others. It's showing people that you're accepting without, like, it's like me putting up a flag in my yard and I have one that's like welcoming everybody. It literally has a symbol of an American flag, a Black Lives Matter flag, a pride flag, a trans rights flag. And it's like all those things can be, more than one thing can be true. I can be proud to be an American citizen and a Black woman and a supporter of trans rights and LGBTQ rights. You don't have to be so fucking siloed.
And also you can respect, I mean, we have, I don't know if we've said this already. We have family and friends that are Trumpers. Like we can also, I feel like nowadays you put up the American flag, that means you're saying like, I welcome in everybody. So I'm even welcoming in you, but that's
what I'm saying is even me putting that up is me telling people I'm a safe place. And I will tell you, here in Annapolis, Joe and I have gotten a lot of people come in, not a lot, but like, we try to give off that welcoming to everyone. And when we're outside in our yard, we say hello. We look people in the eye.
Oh, yes.
We say, hi, how are you? Mm-hmm. And that's another topic of just getting to know your neighbors in good conditions. But people know our house is welcoming. And sometimes just that little flag says, I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you.
Yep. And it's keeping that symbol up all year long too.
Yep.
I will say this about, I was dying, Picante, my family's restaurant in Annapolis. They had the pride flag up because it's a new restaurant. They've been open for like 2 years. But they had the pride flag up since like the first pride or second pride that they, had supported, and it was up for a year long. And then they were like, oh, we got to do, it was like new season. We were freshening up everything. And they started putting the new flags out. They ordered like Mexican flags and whatever. And so, we had too many flags, and the pride flag came down. And then I was like, you guys, it's pride. Like, we've had this flag up for a year. Now we're putting it and keep it up.
I love that they had it up all year.
Yeah. So,
and now it's like,
and now it's up again. But, I mean, it's just, those things matter, and
they matter. And again, that allyship across communities too. Morgan and I, we thank the LGBTQ+IA community for also being accepting and welcoming in most cases, not even most cases, but I'm just saying that welcoming of most scenarios where I've been in a place where I am unsure of my acceptance, I look for that pride symbol.
I will say, a safe place.
I've done it too, even when Joe and I were in Colorado in COVID times.
Absolutely.
Guess where we were going for drinks? The gay bar. Because when I'm worried about a vaccination rate, not getting COVID so early on, I'm like, there's a community that doesn't fuck around when there's medicine available to them that can save lives and protect others.
They've had experience from it, starting with the AIDS epidemic and having to save themselves because no one else is paying attention. But I will also say, as a Black woman with big ass hair and growing up in DC and also the Rehoboth and all the things in the 2000s, I have absolutely had my run-ins with some nasty gay establishments too. And I say that because when I remind folks, welcome into everyone means welcome into everyone.
Yes.
And I have absolutely experienced it. I have been there with my black friends that have had, racism can be
two
anywhere.
Things can be true.
And gay men hating women, that happens too. So I call this to everyone. And I think that is a huge issue with this moment right now. It's the polarization. It's everybody's problems are bigger. My problems are bigger than yours, or like my issues makes it, my difficulties make it that my shit's hard enough that I can fucking hate on you too. Or, I'm so gay, I can say whatever I want, whatever the thing may be. I remind you that at the end of the day, we all are human. We all are bleed on the inside. Anybody that, again, my reminder of the one marginalized group that we could all go in and out of is the disabled. And if that shit doesn't bring you together, then I don't know what will. But so, yes, I agree that the allyship and the symbols are huge, but it's the action.
Yeah.
It's the action. Yeah. And it's the reminder that if you're using the pride symbol, please use the trans flag. And that's why that flag's so fire.
Yeah.
Because it welcomes in all colors, all people, all bodies, all the things.
Yep.
So.
And again, this is the last thing I will say. And like Morgan, I said at the beginning of this, we are not going to speak about the gay trans experience because we are not. We will leave that to those people. But I've had people say, I've got into it. I dated someone once who I remember his father was like, being gay is a choice. And I said, as someone who was a Black woman that went to a high school in a pretty conservative town when there was a lot of rednecks meaning racists,
bigots.
Yep. You would not choose to be gay. I already went to my high school not showing up as I am and it being pretty fucking obvious, like we talked about, had the KKK card thrown at me, being Black. Why would you fucking say, hey, bring on the hate?
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Yeah. I'm going to choose this. Yeah. No.
That's what every middle schooler and high schooler wants.
Also,
is to deal
again,
with
do your research. Why the fuck are there animals that are in that have same sex relations? It's just fucking nature, bitches. So shut the fuck up. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are like, I support the community, take it up a notch. Actually help. It matters. Amplify voices. Use your voice to amplify theirs. And happy Pride. To all to celebrate. Anything?
Happy
any final words?
Pride. Happy Pride.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Welcome in.
Thanks for listening. Do please leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Do share it out.
I will say, really, I want to say the biggest thing. If you could
send this episode or any others to one person, we are coming to you.